how did you become a venture capitalist? How did you become an investor?
Yeah, so I can actually go back through my history a little bit. I actually started out in Silicon Valley in late 90s as a lawyer, corporate securities lawyer, and worked on a lot of venture financings, M&As, IPOs, and kind of got the bug a little bit, realized that, you know, people on the other side of the table are having a lot more fun than I did as a lawyer. You may identify with that a little bit, Roger, I don't know.
The other way.
And so I decided to say, you know, maybe I should give careers outside of law a chance, and I wasn't quite as risk tolerant at the time to be a full-blown entrepreneur. So I felt like being a venture capitalist was sort of a hedge. I could still have a portfolio if the idea that I thought was the greatest idea didn't work out. So I became a VC in 2000. Probably not the best time to start your career as a VC, as you may remember. But it was a lot of good lessons learned, and that was actually for 4 years. I started as an associate at a European venture capital firm that wanted to open up operations here in the US. And through that experience, I got to know a lot of great investors, great entrepreneurs. And Pejman, who now has Pejman Mar Ventures, became a good friend and a close co-investor with me back then. After that, I then decided to jump in and do the entrepreneurial thing. So I started my first company called Jackster, which was a mobile social network. And then after that, I sold that company, joined another startup, sold that in 2 years, and took some time off and started the third one. And then very recently, a year and a couple of months ago, I decided that, you know, I've had a lot of good startup experience. Maybe I should now work for a little bigger organization. So I actually joined GoDaddy to help them through their IPO phase and sort of take the company public and lead business development and corporate development for a couple of our business units at GoDaddy. In parallel, I'm also an operating partner with Pejman Mar Ventures. Pejman, the gentleman I mentioned, I had met 12 years ago. He built an amazing career investing in great entrepreneurs, founders of Zoosk, Lending Club, Dropbox. He's been the first money into many of those sort of what we call unicorns today. And he started a fund called Pejman Mar Ventures 2 years ago. And because we knew each other and we had a great working relationship, I joined as an operating partner, which means I don't really make investment decisions, but I influence them. I'm a resource to the fund, and there are 7 of us operating partners, and what we do is we help the fund make investment decisions and also help the portfolio companies. Pejman Mar Ventures is a $50 million seed fund right now. It's on its first fund, and we have about 30 investments. Polar, of course, is a great investment in portfolio company. And it's a community, really. It's a family. I mean, for those of you that know Pejman and Mar, they're very kind of open door, very humble individuals, and they just love to contribute and give to the community. And so they have this garage, they call it, in downtown Palo Alto, and we have a lot of Stanford students, Berkeley students, just walking through, starting ideas, and entrepreneurs are just kind of cycling through there. So it's a fun environment, and I love being a part of it.
Great, thank you so much. How about you, Borwe? Tell us your story.
My story, which part? The entrepreneur part.
Where you came from?
Where I came from. I was born and raised in China. I came to the United States after I finished high school in Beijing. I did my undergrad in Wisconsin-Madison, starting with economics, and figured that is kind of unnatural and irrational, and then switched to computer science when I was junior and finished most of the CS courses there. I wasn't sure what to do after I graduate. I wasn't know, like, should I find a job? I actually got an internship offer from National Geographic at the time because I was doing photography with Badger Horse, which is a local newspaper in Madison. I wasn't very convinced because for their interns, what you do is you go to like a certain jungle in Africa. You sort of submerge yourself underwater for a few hours, and you cannot move. It sounds very sexy for people who are like looking at the photos, but for the people who are actually doing that, although you can create really fantastic shots, but it's just such a really bad process and tiring process.
Piranhas, right?
Yeah, right. And alligators. So I think Stanford was more likely like a snooze button for me. It's like I didn't wake up. I still need like a few years to figure out what to do. So I applied for a few different universities. Got an offer from Stanford. Quite honestly, I was thinking that the weather was great, and tuition is actually much cheaper than Berkeley. I'm international, so I couldn't pay for the state level tuition. So it's cheaper than Berkeley. It's cheaper than Carnegie Mellon. So that was one of the major reasons I chose the campus. But quite honestly, it's the tuition. It's something that my family and I can afford. And but quite honestly, I do feel Madison has a way better campus, like full 4 seasons and with a lake and everything on a small foothill.
So the weather's better here.
The weather is better here. If you like snow, I mean, it's still snowing in April in Madison, but it's extremely hot right now.
Honestly, Madison's nice, right?
Yeah. It's really nice. So when I got into Stanford, I was doing artificial intelligence at the beginning. I realized that pure AI it's too mathematical for me as someone who didn't have a strong AI background. So I shifted into HCI very quickly and worked with Michael Bernstein, who is a HCI professor. Work on a few papers. I got very interested in design, something that's beyond my original scope of just traditional CS training. Spent lots of time in the Stanford Design School, and at the time I was kind of the CTO of a startup called Selectivity. It was kind of this massive dream concept with new search engine. I followed. My CEO is 10 years research into search and semantic search. So I followed him. The startup didn't work out, mostly because we were students. While in school, we are 6 Stanford students working on that, and we couldn't focus our 100% energy on it. There's classes going on, so we stopped it 2014, early 2014 actually, and then graduated last year. That was 2006, June 2014. My family came here and visited me, and we sort of did a family trip for 2 months. During that trip, it's really just this desire of photography that just came up again, because when you're bored, you don't have anything and you just have a camera. Ends up shooting 2,000. I think my camera had 2,000. My dad's camera had 10,000 photos, and my mom has another 10,000. That's like altogether 50 gigabytes of photos. When I came back, I sort of have this huge hard drive, external hard drive with me, and it's already filled. I didn't know, it's from previous years of photos. And we have been procrastinating, sharing them, procrastinating how to process them. So that at that point, I realized that maybe I should just spend time building a product to solve it. Otherwise, I would take another year to solve it. Anyway, it's faster to build a startup and a company to deal with that problem. Really want to give those photos back to my mom. So that's really the inspiration of Polar is how can I have a specific taste of photography. As a photographer working in the field for many years, I have very specific requirements, like someone who have really good taste of food. You want this amount of salt, this amount of sugar in it. I know how to do it by myself, but if I do it, I will spend 10 minutes to edit every single photo, and I have 12,000, right? So the idea is how could we do it automatically with artificial intelligence? So that's really like what I was exploring, and at the time I was really lucky. I found my co-founder, who is doing PhD in computer vision in Stanford, and I told him about the idea. I think I told him like, is it possible that to train a machine to behave like an artist, to like enhance and retouch like a Photoshop artist on people's photos? And he said like yes. He said it might be doable. That was his answer, because he had been spending years and years doing neural network and deep learning. But he basically said like we don't really have the data. According to theory, everything should work, right? If you have a machine seeing enough what real humans are doing to photography, then by definition, if you have enough data point, you should be able to train a brain that does exactly the same. So then we really want to get it there. We really, the dream of the company is to really get there where we have a sort of machine and the artist. And in August we started to work together, trying to first build a way to collect data. We didn't make a lot of progress, mostly because data collection crawling is really, really difficult. We were trying to see what Instagram filters people are using. We were trying to predict photo competition, if certain photo will win the competition or not. We have certain accuracy threshold. It wasn't good enough. So we had the idea, maybe we should just, we should build tools and then have this strong control of the environment that we collect data. So that's really like why we started to build photo editors. Is we want to build photo editing services, and people are using our services, and then we have enough machine learning data. And from the day one, we have that engine embedded into that editing app. So we launched the first product in October. That's a Polar Photo Editor Online. It's very close to Adobe Lightroom, but it's in the browser. Very easy to use, super easy to access. And it was top 5 in the day of product hunt on your launch. And the next week picked us up and wrote an article about us. That's really how we launched and got the first maybe 10,000 users in the first day. The quality of the product is really good. And after that, it was mostly, trying to figure out better ways to collect the data and trying to attract people to contribute this knowledge back to our engine. So our web editor grew into 400,000 monthly actives in March. And then we have so many users start to ask us, like, you guys should really do a mobile version, We were very hesitating because that's actually it's a huge distraction for the company, because the original goal is to use the data and build the next step, which is the automated engine that we wanted. And now people are asking, you guys should build an editor. Then, what I was thinking is, it is a huge distraction. Like when we raised money from Pedramar, we actually have 50K monthly active, less than 50K. It's like in my pitch deck, it's like 12K monthly active on editor. And in February, we have 400,000. So we play with the concept a little bit, and one of our engineer actually like stepped forward and saying, I can build this. Give me like a month. Just give me a month. So and he built the app. We sort of spent all the time kind of redesign the UI and everything. And we were saying, this is probably too professional, right? Like, we came from a professional photo editing background. Will people even use this? It's like, people on the phone, they're like Instagram users, whatever, but would they be able to use something like Adobe Lightroom or Adobe Photoshop? The surprising result is we figured that people are actually very smart. When you actually show them how the tools work, you actually show them, you don't have to get through the learning curve of you first need to know the easy editing services, and then the medium level, and then the hard level. You just give them the best tools, package them in the easiest to use ways. And then we have like people, my mom or my friend's mom, who are in the 60s, calling us. He found our app in App Store and loved to use it. So we were featured by Apple when we launched. We launched the app June 25th. So that's like three weeks ago. And so far we got 1 million downloads from that editor. The marketing strategy. I mean, the branding is professional for the editor, made for everyone. It's really to challenge the concept that people are able to be authentic on the mobile photography, right? You don't have to use preset or pre-made filters. You can actually do something by yourself. We are launching the Android version next week, so hopefully that will help us. I have no idea, so we don't really have any expectation, but after that, we basically saying, we will set this aside for a little bit, and then go back to building our engine. That's really the goal for this year, and have the AI powered editing service roll out. So